After 12 days of fighting, a statement from Trump in which he thanked Iran's Supreme Leader Khamenei for agreeing to a conditional ceasefire was followed by Trump's announcement of a full ceasefire. However, Iran's Foreign Minister Araghchi issued a statement saying that no agreement had yet been reached between Iran and Israel regarding a ceasefire or halting military operations. That said, he clarified that if Israel halted its illegal aggression against Iranian civilians before 4 o'clock in the morning on the 24th, Tehran time, then Iran would not carry out any further retaliatory action. He also stated that the final decision regarding the ceasefire would be made later. This is a significant concession by Iran, despite losing several top military commanders and scientists to targeted killings and facing U.S. strikes on 3 major nuclear sites. Iran still chose to accept a conditional ceasefire. If we look at past years of clashes between Iran and Israel, it's clear that neither side is ever willing to be the first to back down, because the one who stops first is seen as the loser. And that's hard to justify to domestic audiences. But this time is different. Iran stated that if the attacks stopped before 4 o'clock in the morning on the 24th, they would not retaliate, clearly implying, we've hit where we needed to hit, we're done now. In other words, Israel could keep attacking until 3:59 in the morning, but Iran would not respond in kind. Following this strategy, in retaliation to the U.S. strikes on Iranian nuclear facilities, Iran launched missiles on the night of the 23rd, targeting the American Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar. This operation was codenamed Declaration of Victory, a symbolic message that Iran had struck back and was now ready to de-escalate. To avoid U.S. casualties, Iran informed the United States in advance through a third party, and as a result, there were no deaths or injuries. Trump then publicly thanked Iran on social media, stating, "I thank Iran for warning us in advance. No lives were lost. No one was injured. Iran can now move forward toward regional peace. I will encourage Israel to do the same." Qatar also issued a formal statement, saying it reserves the right to respond under international law. Iran's current strategy reminded many of what happened 5 years ago when Qasem Soleimani was killed in a U.S. drone strike. Back then, Iran retaliated by firing missiles at American bases in Iraq 5 days later, on January 8, 2020, as a way to show its people that it had responded. Even then, Iran had notified the Iraqi government in advance, allowing U.S. troops to evacuate in time. Later, the U.S. reported that only a little over 100 American soldiers suffered mild brain injuries. Coming back to the current situation, Iran had given Israel a deadline of 4 o'clock in the morning Tehran time on June 24th, which corresponds to 8:30 in the morning, Beijing time. According to available reports, Israel launched missile strikes on multiple sites in Tehran from the night of the 23rd until the early hours of the 24th. According to Al Jazeera, another Iranian nuclear scientist was killed during the attack. However, since 4 o'clock in the morning, no new reports of further attacks have emerged. At 4:03, Iran's foreign minister posted on social media confirming that Iran had ceased all attacks from 4 o'clock onward, signaling that the ceasefire had effective. The U.S. had already stated that its B-2 bomber strike on Iran's nuclear facilities was a one-time action, and there would be no escalation into a full-scale military operation. Now the only remaining uncertainty is Israel's response. So far, Israel has not officially confirmed or hinted at a ceasefire. A senior White House official told CNN that Israel is willing to accept a ceasefire only if Iran halts its attacks first, and Iran has accepted those conditions. To facilitate this agreement, U.S. Vice President Vance, Secretary of State Bio, and Middle East envoy Witkoff have been in communication with Iran. Trump himself is in direct conversation with Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu, urging him to stop the attacks. After Trump announced that both sides had agreed to a full ceasefire, Netanyahu held a cabinet meeting early on June 24th and instructed all members not to make any public statements regarding the ceasefire with Iran until further notice. At present, it appears that another 24 hours of waiting may be necessary to determine whether Netanyahu is satisfied with the military gains thus far, and whether Trump was able to persuade him to hold back. This is why Iran has still not officially declared a ceasefire and continues to emphasize that the final decision will come later, because Iran clearly does not want to be deceived again, as it has been many times before.